As you said, I am a board member of the EU Mission for Oceans and Waters. This is one of the missions that the European Union has set up, along, for example, with the EU Mission on Climate Change, in which Neuroclima is a very important project within. But make no mistake that the EU missions have a lot of connections and a lot of touching points between them. So when you come to oceans and waters, climate change is very important. And actually it is one of the 4 priorities, the 4 pillars, if you like, that the EU mission on oceans and waters is relying on. But let me take one step back. The EU mission on oceans and waters is the one that Europe has put together in order to address the need to protect and to protect and restore the oceans. So the need for restoration means that we need to restore ecosystems, but also to see how those ecosystems and the marine environment can play a very important role, both in the sense of the economic and social development of humans, but also as a very, very important factor for regulating, if you like, the operation of our planet. And we all know that in terms of climate change, the ocean is probably one of the most important regulators, because not only it regulates global temperatures, but it also absorbs a lot of CO2 and other greenhouse gases. So in that sense, the ocean plays a very crucial role. And in fact, just to give you an example, a seagrass system in the underwater, in shallow waters, can absorb more than 10 times as much as a forest will absorb. And so the absorption capacity of the oceans is very important. But it's not only this. It's a lot of things that are related to humans being able to have livelihoods connected to the marine environment that probably are more sustainable than things that we would be doing on land. And so to develop what we call the blue economy, in that sense, not doing the mistakes that we did by developing an economy on the land, but doing it in a more sustainable way, is very important. All of this, in a nutshell, is what we're trying to do in the ocean mission, plus one more thing that I consider supremely important, which is what we call the ocean digital twin, which is to collect all the information and the data that will allow us to create, if you like, an avatar of the ocean. So like a system that allows us to have a model that is built on all this knowledge, which will allow us to make decisions without having experiments on the ground or in the sea, but to have them on a model scale. This is a huge engagement, of course, a very difficult one, because the needs and investments for the ocean are very important in terms of research, but it will be very, very important for the development of human life on Earth, for the years and decades to come. My role is to be one of the, if you like, ambassadors of this mission, to try to explain to everyone why it is important to do this work. And very practically speaking, one of the things that I am trying to do, and I will be doing through Neuroclima as well, is to try to engage everyone in this consortium and the stakeholders to come closer to the ocean mission and to sign the Ocean Mission Charter, which is a charter that allows everyone to come together and become one global or pan-European, if you like, community of working together for the ocean, so that by adding the pieces together, we make something that is much larger than the sum of the parts. Because if you are doing an activity for the ocean and we are doing an activity, if we join forces, we'll do more together than we have done separately. And this is exactly what the Charter is trying to do. So I hope that by the end of this project, every institution working with the Neuroclima project will be a signatory of the Charter. But not only this, we are hoping that everyone who is involved as a stakeholder will understand the importance also of the oceans in relation to climate change, as I said before, because a lot of solutions will come from the ocean. I like your question because it is the inverse of what we have been discussing before. So what we were saying before is how the Ocean Mission can engage with important players like the stakeholders, policymakers, and Neuroclima and its partners, the partners of the consortium in itself. But let's see it the other way around. What we're saying is that Neuroclima is developing very modern and based on new technologies, tools that can help policymakers and citizens and institutions to address climate change. And as we said before, the ocean is one of the most important regulators and one of the most important assets, if you like, that we have on the planet nowadays to address climate change. Now, if you put those two together, we can understand that the tools that we'll be developing through Neuroclima can provide a lot of capacity and know-how on how we can combine the opportunities that are provided to humanity through the ocean to address climate change. And this is a very important connection because, when you propose tools, these are things that allow you to better use what you have as your material, as your resources, if you like. And the resources that we have to address climate change include the ocean very importantly. So it is our business, if you like, in Neuroclima to find ways that we do this connection, and then policymakers not only related to climate change, but also related to the ocean, related to fisheries, related to coastal policies, related to the protection of marine and coastal ecosystems, will know how they can come together to make the best of using all of these resources to address climate change. So you see, it is a give and take, if you like, relation, but it's a relation that can enhance, as I was saying before, all of the parties in doing more by working together. And I think that Neuroclima can play a very important catalyst role in this. What I consider very important is that here we're all discussing about the need to address climate change, and we also mentioned the importance, of connecting this to the oceans and the coastal and the marine environment. Now, in all this, one very important scientist, the former director of the International Ocean, the IOC in UNESCO, for the seas, was telling me that one of the biggest risks for the oceans and climate change is the non-use of science. And so if you do not address the needs to address climate change, the need to protect the ocean through the best use you can do of science, you're missing the point. And why am I saying this? The reason is that if we do not manage to find a way to take all this good science, because there's a lot of science about climate change, there's a lot of science about oceans, but we need to be able to turn it into something that is usable readily by policymakers and to be fully understood by citizens, by business, by institutions, so they know how they can really play their part in addressing these human community challenges. As I said before, climate change is the biggest challenge that humanity is probably facing nowadays on a global scale. And I think that by making tools like Neuroclima will be making, that take all this knowledge, all this science, and turn them into something that can be readily usable, we can make a lot of difference. Make no mistake, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of fake news also about climate change. There's still a lot of people that are actually saying, what climate change? There is no climate change. I'm every day marveled to see how modern people can still think this when we're having very extreme cases of not only heat, but also, extreme weather phenomena and so on. And we see the change happening. And still, this is happening quite a lot. So I think that by providing science-based tools, by providing knowledge that is based on science and awareness to people to understand what we need to do and how we can do it, and how each one of us, through our own daily choices, can make a difference and support this process is very important. In all this, we expect and we hope that Neuroclima will play a very important role. We will try to connect it as much as we can with European and other, but very importantly, European policies and European initiatives like the missions that we mentioned before, the mission for climate, the mission for ocean, but also other missions like the one for soil and food that is very much impacted, for example, by climate change. And so we hope to be able to support this effort by providing something useful. We have a fantastic consortium, very good people, very good scientists working with us. And so we're looking forward to a very successful implementation of this project.